Good afternoon. It's an honor to celebrate Women's History Month with New. Women's History Month prompts us to reflect on how far women have come in our fight for equal rights in this country, but also how far we need to go. Because of the leadership and determination of so many of the women who came before us and groups like New, we now see record numbers of women and women of color working across every industry. But I know I don't need to prove that to the women in this group. The very purpose of your work has been to break down the walls of a field traditionally dominated by men. You are the true history makers, rule shakers, and glass ceiling breakers. You are the ones paving the way for women and young girls everywhere to dream big and to pursue careers that they may never have thought possible. And so I thank you for all that you do, for all the tireless work you've done for our city over the past year, and all the great work that I know is ahead. Thank you, women.
Hi, everyone. It's really great to be here today. I want to thank Kathleen Culhane and the entire new team for the great work that you folks do every single day to support women. You know, it has become increasingly obvious as this pandemic starts to begin to leave us that women have experienced the most job losses, and in particularly Black and Brown women during this pandemic. So the work that New is doing to give you the skills and the union affiliation is just extraordinary. It will catapult you into the middle class. And as I say this to you, I would like to remind all of you that as you become more successful, and you will if you work hard, please don't forget those behind you. Don't forget your daughters, your nieces, your granddaughters, your neighbors, and everyone else that could use a hand up. Please, this is something I've thought about all my life because my success is largely due to the support from women along the way, in particularly in our industry. There were very few of them when I became involved, and now believe me, we will take over. So I wish you all the very, very best during this Women's History Month. And please don't forget our history. Let that drive us forward. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so very much to Attorney General Letitia James and Lorraine Grillo for sharing your voices and raising the importance of placing women in construction careers, careers that we know provide transformative and sustainable wages, along with access to healthcare benefits and a pension. We are honored that you are able to join us today, as well as our amazing panel of tradeswomen. March is Women's History Month, and there's so much to celebrate. Women have marched for and won the right to vote, protested, rebelled, and campaigned against injustice, demolished barriers, and expanded possibilities. And in our current moment of crisis, women continue to lead. Tradeswomen have been and continue to be the support system and infrastructure of New York City's essential services. Many of us sheltered in place, new tradeswomen were ensuring we had clean water, electricity, and warmth. They continued to work on roads, bridges, and tunnels, and found themselves in the middle of the pandemic while installing medical gas piping to hospitals caring for COVID-19 patients. And we also know that women make up 54% of COVID-related job losses. And in some months in 2020, Black and Brown women accounted for all net job losses. And that is why our conversation today is so incredibly important. New envisions a future where women are equally provided with the skills, credentials, and opportunities needed to secure and advance in careers in the construction trades and related industries, careers with family-sustaining wages. Careers like the one new graduate Sandra John has as a tile setter in New York City. Sandra was recently featured on CNBC, and we are excited to share this with you today. Thank you again for joining NEW for this important conversation.
We do a lot of murals. We did a flower mural. We did a cloud mural. I love art, so the fact that I can incorporate two things that I love is just amazing to me. We need women. We need more and more women. My name is Sandra John. I'm 28 years old. I'm from Flatbush, Brooklyn, and I work for Local 7 as a tile setter. This year, I look forward to making 65 to 70K with overtime. I fell in love with building. I was about 4 years old. My dad came home. He had like little pieces of wood, and we built a dollhouse together. We even built like little couches, little chairs, little tables. So that's when I really first fell in love with construction. My mom, she didn't want me to be in construction. Before I got into tile setting, I was a teacher's assistant. I was going to school to become a teacher. I love kids so much, but I felt like something was missing. Like I wasn't really doing what I wanted to do. So I just went on the internet, I Googled women in construction, and that's when I found NEW. That was really the start of like a whole nother journey for me, because I would do the TA in the daytime, and I would just leave there and go straight to NEW. My first job, I was so nervous. I was nervous because I had to get on the hoist, and the hoist was going to like the 26th floor. I wasn't really that comfortable with being in the hoist because it's outside, and it was a little bit scary for me. But after the first few days, it wasn't that bad. I come in about 6:45. I start work around 7:10. When I get into work. I go to my gang boss, get my tools, go to my foreman, ask him, what am I doing today? When I'm done setting up my mechanic, then I do my task. Either I'm tiling, or I'm grouting, or I'm mixing mud. First year or two, you get like you book your helper makes tin set, the helper grouts, helper cuts tiles, stuff like that. I get my tile together, I get my grinder, make sure I have my water, make sure my wet saw is on. If I'm going high, I get my scaffold. So usually for the whole day, it's just me, my scaffold, my towels, my water, and I finish my bathroom or half my bathroom. Wrap up around 2:30, 3 o'clock, and if you have overtime, which is great, I love overtime. Regular day is 7 to 3. Overtime usually 3:30 to 5, 6 o'clock. We as women are strong enough to do anything that men can do. Just go for it. Don't let anyone say you can't do it, you're not supposed to. No, we're supposed to. We're supposed to be here. They need us here. So anything you want to do in the field, tile, ironwork, anything, go for it. You can do it, and you will do it, and you will be in the field, and they will be jealous. That's it.
NEW's fourth NEW Conversations digital event series, The Tradeswomen of NEW. I'm Tammy Rivera, a 25-plus graduate of non-traditional employment for women, as well as a 27-year member of the New York City District Council of Carpenters, currently as a council representative with them. For 42 years, NEW has always been a groundbreaking model for women and New York City. NEW helps low-income women get into careers of the trades through advanced training programs, networking with union apprenticeships, and growing opportunities through diversity goals set by employer partners. We are honoring Women's History Month by focusing on the tradeswomen of NEW and highlighting their accomplishments and their experiences at NEW and out in the field. So many new graduates and tradeswomen have been on the front line this year working in hospitals and essential healthcare facilities. As we are slowly coming out of the pandemic and New York City starts to open again, we want to express our gratitude to the tradeswomen who are serving our communities and creating the essential infrastructure to keep our city safe. It is crucial that we continue hiring tradeswomen as New York City is recovering. New is observing that women were the first to be let go during the pandemic and were last to be rehired. This is unacceptable and needs to change. That is why it is necessary for our industry leaders to show support of our tradeswomen and invest in the future of them by hiring more women, tradeswomen that is, as the city reopens. We are so grateful for having these tradeswomen join us today and share their stories and insight from out in the field with us. We could think of no better way to end our celebration of Women's History Month than by hearing this amazing panel of tradeswomen, moderated by New's Director of Social Services, Linda Young.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this great new conversation, the Tradeswomen of New. For those of you who don't know me, my name again is Linda Young, and I'm Director of Social Services. I've been with New for 20 years, and it's been such a pleasure. As you may know, New provides, of course, free training and placement services for women, transgender, and non-binary individuals in the skilled trades, construction trades, careers traditionally overlooked that have overlooked women. And these careers are indeed transformative, helping these women to move from unemployed and underemployed into the middle class, as we've said. What many people may not realize is that on top of these services, New also provides a holistic support system to all of our students and graduates through the Social Services Department of New. These services include individual counseling, learning support, workshops, support groups. We help women to connect to needed services, including childcare, food, housing, health and mental health care. I'm particularly happy that during the pandemic, New has been able to provide emergency financial assistance to help students to deal with some of the loss that they've encountered and the needs caused by the loss of work. Today, we have the opportunity to speak with 4 wonderful new graduates about their passion for construction, some of the barriers in the industry, and how women can have a successful and lucrative career in the trades. We have Esther Minton, architectural sheet metal worker with Local 28. Ashley Ty, a first-year apprentice with IBW Local 3. Taji Riley, a journey-level carpenter. And Suzette Ricketts, a journey-level laborer with Local 79. Thank you all for being here. I'm so proud of all of you. All right, we'll get right to our questions. First question for all panelists: what is New meant to you? And you can go in any order. We'd love to hear from all of you.
For me, New meant a new beginning, because when I became unemployed from the law firm, I was lost. I was scared. I didn't know which direction I was going in. And, you know, I thought about my dad and what he went through and how he survived. And I'm like, well, he's a carpenter by trade, and that helped him. And I said, you know what? That's something solid. That's something that's kept him, that kept us as a family. Why not get into it? So I found New and I started with them. And I'm very happy because I still have enough on the table to take care of my family. So, and it's a new beginning for me because it's a totally new atmosphere, um, a new job. But I don't even call it a job, it's a career because I could see myself going further in it. And that's what new means to me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Would anybody else like to address that question?
I can go up next. My name is Taji Riley, a carpenter. Suzette, it's great to hear that your dad was also a carpenter. That's pretty special. New for me has meant the ability to step outside of a traditional job. Before I went to New, I was going to school to be a nurse. And unfortunately, I didn't have the income to sustain that career. So when I turned to New, I was looking for not only a career that could financially support me, but a career that stepped out of the traditional thing for my family. Many of my family members, mostly the women, had been nurses and they've all been in very traditional trades. So it's cool to step into something different that I also was passionate about and loved.
For me, you know, new has been like a dream remembered. I was come from the performance arts background, and you know, being able to support myself when that wasn't really working. And so I also Googled, you know, like the video that we saw, you know, construction, women in construction, and new was the first kind of hit that came up. So, and that's how I got started. And I'm, you know, a first year apprentice, but new has meant community for me, community and resources. Luckily for me, because of new, I run into women on the job site. Women are not rare for me on the job site. And anytime I step into that bathroom and I see a sister say, how you doing? How you doing? I said, do you know New? I said, of course. New's been here a long time. I'm in the, you know, business for 20 years or so. And so that's been really encouraging for me.
Hi, everyone. For me, new has meant community and opportunity. So community, for the same that Ashley mentioned, seeing other women on the job site. For the most part, I'm not that fortunate. I'm the majority of the time the only woman on my job site, no matter what the trade, not even just within my own trade, but no matter what the trade, I'm the only woman on the job site. So when I do see another woman, for me, it is more than exciting. Opportunity-wise, I have been introduced to so many different avenues in construction, not just in the field work, through the different programs and classes that New holds that I'm always invited to. So community and opportunity, definitely.
Thank you. We can move on to another question. New graduates have had a multitude of career backgrounds prior to joining New. Esther, would you share a little bit about your profession prior to finding New?
Yeah. First, I want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone that's joining us right now. Thank you, Linda, to the Attorney General, Honorable Letitia James, Kathleen, the President of New, and Tammy from a new graduate also. Thank you all for being here and putting this together. Before starting in construction, I held a number of different jobs that I actually enjoyed. 3 that I would like to highlight. 1, I worked in the music industry. So I was an executive assistant for the president and CEO of rock record label, Roadrunner Records. After being there, I went into the Department of Education and I worked with grade from kindergarten up to 12th grade for about 7 years. After doing that, I moved to a whole other state and I worked with an organization that serviced special needs teens and children. And worked there for about 2 years. And a program that I started while being there was an adult family home. So a number of our teens would age out of our program. And after a while, me and 2 of my peers decided to open an adult family home so that instead of losing our teens, we would just be able to transition them into our adult family home. So, and yes, I do believe that a lot of women that work in construction, we work here because we want to. There's a horrible misconception that we have to, or there's nothing else we can do, or we didn't go to school, we have no education. And a lot of the women that are in my class, I'm a 7-term apprentice at this time, a lot of the women that are in my class were correction officers, went to college for arts, were lawyers, and decided to get into construction. So thank you for asking the question, Linda.
And thank you. Such a broad, such a wealth of experiences and career interests, and you've done some wonderful work. And I appreciate that you brought this to bear, that women coming into construction are coming with lots of skill sets, lots of life experience, and have done already very important work. So I really appreciate all of your answers so far. Can any of you share what has been your experience during the COVID-19 pandemic?
I can share. I've had a very positive experience as far as my health with the COVID crisis. I've been very safe and my family has been safe. Unfortunately, I have been out of work for a few months, but thankfully jobs are starting to open up, and it's just the idea of getting work has kind of kept me into the flow of everything, really being like, okay, well, one day things will open up and then I'll be back to work. So, but luckily, on the other hand, a bunch of my friends have gotten apartments and moved places, and I've been doing home renovations and things like that to keep myself afloat. And that's all because of the, experience that I have in the pre-apprenticeship program and then going to the Carpenters Union.
Thank you.
For myself, during this time, well, last year when COVID first hit us, in the beginning, it was hard not knowing if we would work. So, everyone was wondering if we were essential, if we weren't essential, and depending on what you worked in, I guess decided if you were essential. I know a number of shops within sheet metal did not skip a beat. We were building temporary hospitals and things, and working in transit. So a lot of us were considered essential. Me, I did not work for probably the first month. And then I got called in to help a company out, worked for about 2 weeks, and then I was out for another 3 months. However, I still feel I was fortunate because my union was extremely, extremely helpful and beneficial with the services they offered, reaching out to us. I had a mechanic call me from California, someone that I've never heard of before, never met, and he was going through a list that was given to him by our general president just to call us to see if we were okay. And I so sincerely appreciated that. And financially, I honestly cannot say I was hurting. Thankful to my union, very, very thankful to my union for that. New also was very good with reaching out and asking if we were unemployed, asking how we were doing, seeing if there was anything they can do for us. So as it was a struggle in many different areas, work-wise, it wasn't. Like I really didn't feel the hit.
I was scheduled to actually start working on March 30th to get a job ticket. And I think the weekend or the prior, the city has shut down. So I had to do some, backstepping and call my employer that I just resigned from, and say, hey, as you all are moving remotely, is there work for me? They said, of course, we know we'd love to have you, and we know what your situation is. So I was able to stay on for a couple of months, but then I was unemployed for a few months. But again, reaching out, making sure that everyone was okay. And then also the union,
just anytime I would call the hall, they would say, you know, don't worry, like we are aware that you exist. And as soon as everything opens back up, we will call you. And that's exactly what happened. And I've been working ever since.
Okay. In my situation, I was unemployed for a couple of months, about 4 months. But, you know, I kind of like took it as a little, okay, I need a break. And I called the union. They had an opportunity, and I'm still with the company that I started with at that time. So the COVID-19, when we shut down, it was a bit unsettling, but I was okay with what was going on. So it didn't affect me that much.
Thank you for sharing those experiences. I wanted to also ask you, what do you see as some of the barriers that women are facing today in terms of entering the construction trades?
Being realistic about it, you know, because sometimes I meet some of the girls who I came in through new, and, you know, the first week or two, they're, you know, okay, it's going to be easy. It's easy in a way, but physically you have to be prepared for it. So sometimes, you know, like what I did is, it was kind of like weird. I went and I brought cedar blocks and I practiced carrying the cedar blocks at home up and down my steps, you know, throwing it on top of my refrigerator, because I'm like, okay, I need to be in physical shape. I don't want to get on the job and I can't lift something, I can't carry something. So I actually came home and I practiced at home. You know, that way when I was going through training, I knew how to handle the equipment that I had to deal with. And that's one of the things that I noticed with some of the females that was coming through is, you know, they weren't realistic enough. But after about a week or two of being with new and seeing what it's all about, everybody got on gear. So it was just that, I don't know if you will call it culture shock of what it's all really about. I mean, the work is physical and you have to be prepared for that aspect of it.
Another barrier, I believe, is childcare. A lot of us, not myself, but a lot of women are mothers. And if they're care of a family member, or they are the head of their household in some aspect. So childcare, I've been with my union now for 4 years, and it is a constant communication around childcare and trying to figure out how. When we started as prees, one of the things that we were told was to get a backup for your backup for your backup, and make sure that you have coverage when it comes to your children or the person you take care of. Because as people care, people don't care. So if you don't have childcare, you don't have childcare over and over and over again, it's like you don't want to hear about the train breaking down. I also don't want to hear that you don't have childcare. So that is a huge barrier,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to agree on that, because one of the young ladies that came through new with me and came through the local with me, she had a childcare problem. She had her young son, and it's like if she went over a threshold with her income, she was being cut off. So she had to find a way to keep her income at a certain level with the company she was working with, so that she could have childcare. Otherwise, there was nothing for her. And even though you say to have a backup and a backup behind that backup, she didn't have any. So it was either taking care of her son and working below a certain level. She wasn't able to move up. So that is a big struggle.
Thank you for highlighting that, because it is an ongoing struggle. Childcare supports, non-traditional hours, and as you said, also having access to subsidized care where families need it. just to go into a little bit, Ashley, you had mentioned when we spoke earlier that you do a certain process to set your day up every day when you go to work as a construction worker. Can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So initially, right, I was winging it. I was. And then a few months in, I was like, okay, you need to get it together. So first things first, well, I was getting up on time because New instilled that, right? Getting up on time. That's important, right? Get to the job site on time because your day does not begin when you arrive. You really have to be prepared. You have to set your mind up for what's ahead, socially, physically, what the job needs, if your body's doing something, okay, ladies, all of that, right? So first of all, rest, eat well, and exercise, right? Other than that, trust yourself, decide to be successful, right? And when you forget who you are, stay in community with your sisters, right? Take the phone call, get on the call, at coffee. Call your sister afterwards. I have a sister who she actually taught me when she was at New, and she really, really got me together the other day, right? Because I was forgetting. During one of the workshops at New, right? One of the sisters said, whatever you're dealing with in life, right? Or whatever your shortcomings or your tendencies are, they're going to be heightened in the construction world. And I didn't quite get what she meant. So that means if you have a tendency to doubt yourself, it's on blast. If you have a tendency to anger, that's on blast. If you have a tendency to forget, that's on blast, right? And so take care of your body, right? Stay connected and do what you have to, stay connected to your sisters and do what you have to do spiritually to make sure that you are prepared to face all the challenges that, happen on the job site. So get up early, eat your breakfast. Egg and cheese every day is not cute. I know what the guys are doing at coffee. It's not for you. It's not, okay?
That's true.
Yeah, identify your mentors. I think that's like another thing that I do in my day. Really, I'm looking at, we work alongside men. Many of them are there for us, right? And so identify your brothers as well, because we work alongside them, who you can talk to, and who you can ask questions freely about the trade, about maybe some of their challenges when an opportunity presents itself. So yeah, those are some of the things.
Absolutely.
I would really like to make a point to what Ashley just said about preparing yourself for the day. Just to jump back into the barriers of entry, I think representation is really difficult. A lot of us had to Google women in construction and then find New, and we're all here representing ourselves today, which is amazing. But when you think about going into your day and finding representation and things like that, when I began as a first-year apprentice, there were not any women on my job site. I was usually the one and only female on the job. And that creates a barrier in your head mentally. When you don't see your own self being represented on the job site, you kind of look around and you have to find people who are your mentors. And that could become a barrier for many women trying to get into the trades, because you think, well, when you think of the typical construction worker, it doesn't look like anyone on this panel. It doesn't look like anyone who I've been in the room with, unless I'm surrounded with my sisters and with community. So yeah, Ashley, that was definitely a great point and a way to really circle back to those barriers are there, not only just physically on the job site, but mentally as well. They do really get highlighted. That's such a great point. And although you do a lot of preparation for 8 weeks, at New, preparing to get yourself into the trades, you get there on the job site and it's everything you learned and yourself.
Right.
Right.
And one more point to Taji and Ashley, your sisters, reaching out to them, whether you are the only one on the job site or not, but reaching out to them. And for me, every morning there's 6 of us. In 2014, I took another course with New, and I met it was the 6 of us in this class in 2014. And every morning, these same 6 of us, we text every morning. And sometimes, well, throughout the day as well, just to see how everyone's doing, where everyone is, especially during the pandemic. And some of us are, well, actually all of us are in different fields, but every morning we reach out to each other to see how each other is doing, and genuinely, and not just asking, not caring what the answer is, but we genuinely reach out to each other and listen to each other and see how everyone is doing. So definitely your sisterhood is definitely a part of that.
Thank you for pointing out the importance of the sisterhood and the community. And also, can you all speak to the sisterhood in terms of within your trades? If you have been involved at all with the sisterhoods within your trades, has that been helpful to you as well as part of your community?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. For myself, I am the recording secretary for the Carpenters Women's Steering Committee. Each time that we have a meeting, my position is to take the notes and everything like that. But it's gone beyond that as far as creating community and sisterhood. You know, these are women who we meet 4 times a year usually. And outside of those 4 times, we might catch each other at a union meeting or catch each other on the job site or in the street. But having that position as a recording secretary gives me access to sisters that I don't think I would have had. So I have that network there to reach out to sisters and beyond just my trade as well. Luckily, before the pandemic, I had the opportunity to go to 2 to 3 Women Build Nation conferences, which is one of the largest tradeswomen conferences in the country. And there, tradeswomen are able to take leadership workshops, meet with their communities, find sisters outside of their state to really connect with. And actually, one of my best friends is a tile setter, and we met at Women Build Nations. Yeah, I heard her New York City accent, and I was like, hey, we were in Chicago. You know, it's those opportunities to find sisterhood outside of just your city that came out of, you know, being in a position as a recording secretary, and then having that access from there to pivot myself forward. So I think when I found myself in a position where I could have access to the sisters a bit closely, it meant a lot. It meant a lot not to only be able to talk with them one-on-one, but even be in those meetings and having that be a position of leadership and then people seeing that. And I always wanted to do it. I came in as a second-year apprentice, and it was my goal to have some kind of position where I would have an influence and an ability to communicate with sisters on a different level.
Hey, Taji. I am sure I've seen you at a Women's Build Nation conference because I've been
absolutely, yeah.
as well. I've been ever since 2017, I believe was my first one, and I've been every year since.
Wow.
But for me, it's the same. So I joined my women's committee with Local 28. We are not as active as I would like us to be at this time. However, we exist, and I'm glad we do exist. I'm always inquiring about when we're going to pick back up and start doing stuff again. I definitely joined them when I heard about them. And one of the women she's with Local 28, and she was also part of the women's committee at the time. She started doing a tradeswomen meetup. So once a month, we would meet up at a different bar, a different restaurant, or go volunteer and do different things. But mainly, it was all trades. It wasn't just sheet metal. And that was once a month we were doing that. And that was another way, as Taji mentioned, for me to meet other women in different trades. And within my union, I volunteer as much as I can. One, to get my face out there, 2, to meet my union sisters and brothers, and 3, just to see what we do and what I can become a part of, and also meeting other people. I joined our political action team, which was amazing for me to do. The women's committee, our political action team, and then just literally emailing different people in my union asking, hey, what do you guys have going on? Do you need any assistance? Can I volunteer to help you with this, and this? And for me, it is to just be aware of what's happening in my union. Knowing what's going on, getting my face out there at the same time, and at every chance I get, dragging a union sister with me. And if Ashley is on here, she's going to hate me for blasting her. But if she's on here, she is definitely one of my union sisters that I drag all the time to do different things.
Thank you, everyone. So where do you see the industry going? Where do you see room for improvement in terms of creating a more equitable space for women within the trades? What do you think the industry can do?
My response to that would be actually do, and not just say you support women, not just say you want to be an ally. Actually do that and genuinely do that. So I would say don't just fill out numbers and percentages of women that are in this trade or in that trade or doing this and doing that. When and if you do that, give the credit to the woman that made that possible. So if you're going to be an ally, be an ally. If you're going to represent women, represent women. If you're going to support women, support women. And don't just say that because it sounds good and it looks good. Actually do that. To me, that would be a really good beginning step, because everyone, every organization, every person, everything, you always hear how we support women and we want more women and we want to do this and we want to do that. But then you get them and you don't do much to retain them. And that is a problem. I believe retention is a really big problem. It's good to be able to say that you have accepted these many women into your apprenticeship program, or you have these many women in your union. But if you're not doing much to help them, to keep them there, it's pointless. It's pointless. You should not, not you can't, but you should not bring them in and then leave them by the wayside to fend for themselves. And I don't believe we need someone to hold our hand and walk us through, but I do believe that retention should be another strong suit as opposed to just getting women in.
Absolutely. Thank you, Esther. There are quite a few comments and questions in the chat. One person asked, what advice would you give a woman coming through New's program right now?
I would say stay the course, right? You may have, especially with this pandemic situation, you may have a wait ahead of you. But if this is something that you want, stay the course, because it is for you. It is for you. And there are sisters, and the community at New will support you. Personally, New has helped me financially. It helped me with boots, helped me with my Metro cards, because the first year is tough, so stay the course.
Yeah, be persistent.
Yeah, following up that advice, I would say the same, like staying tunnel vision, truly tunnel vision when you get into stepping into, okay, this is something that I want to do, because it gets really difficult. I remember my days at New picking up those toolboxes to walk them up the stairs. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? This is really hard, laborious work. But looking back 4 years, like I'm going from picking up a toolbox to picking up a 10-foot board of sheetrock, it's just that strength that builds coming from, this is something I've always wanted to do, especially having, years and not years of experience of being in for a couple years. I reflect on those times I knew, like, wow, I thought that was going to be one of the most difficult things. When I entered New, I had a terrible fear of heights. And one of the challenges that New gives you is climbing a ladder. And I was so afraid, like, oh gosh, no. In the previous video, the woman spoke about being afraid of the hoist. And I remember being terrified of the hoist, but those fears get broken when you have goals.
Yeah. And basically, I would just say be persistent, not just have tunnel vision, but have a goal in mind of where you want to be, and just keep that in front of you and just keep on working towards it, because, that will push you through.
Actually, you mentioned trust yourself. Trust yourself. There are going to be so many other things and people that will doubt you. You don't need to add that. You don't need to add on to that. So you feel like you don't have this, you do. You can't do this, you can, and you will, and you'll do it again. When it gets hard, it's hard. It is hard. It is not easy at all. Do not allow anyone to tell you that getting into this is going to be an easy thing. Even if you've done hard work before, labor before, it's hard. It's not easy at all. Do not get into this for the easy. Do not get into this believing that it's going to be easier for you because you're a woman and they're going to do things for you because you're a woman. It's not the case at all. Trust in yourself. Hold on to that because it's easy to lose that. When you wake up and you've had a hard day and you question yourself, of why am I here? And you're going to do that. You are going to question yourself. 4 years in, I still wake up questioning myself from time to time. But understand, and one thing that my mom has shared with me over and over and over again, two things actually, is one, you are genuinely who you are. If you're a good person, you're genuinely good. If you're genuinely bad, you're genuinely bad. Genuinely good people are going to do bad things. Genuinely bad people are going to do good things. But no matter what happens to you, no matter what the situation is or who the person is, do not allow that thing or that person to change who you genuinely are. The second thing is, you belong wherever you are.
Yeah.
Wherever you are, you belong. So that hoist that I was definitely afraid of my first time of being on, that climbing that ladder, I work on a roof, wherever you are, you belong. Believe that. Tell yourself that and believe it.
Love that. The affirmation, the trust yourself. I love that. Thank you so much. This is wonderful advice. Someone asked, how can we allow more women to know about NEW and to know about what you all are doing? And the second part of that question was, how do we reach high schoolers and youngsters? So you all can speak to that as well. I just wanted to say NEW does work with high schoolers, and we'll do winter break or spring break programs with high schoolers on their off time. We'll go in and work with them and do training programs in the schools. And we have programs for 18 to 24-year-olds as well. But do you all have some thoughts on that? How to reach the youth? How to reach other women?
Yes, I do. Like in my phone, I have a listing of programs for women. NEW is the top of the list. As a veteran, I have Helmets to Hard Hat. And when I get on sites, not just females, but guys, they're like, how do I get in? Or I know somebody who wants to get in. And I'm like, well, take out your phone and take a picture. I have a list. Here it is. Here's NEW. Here's Helmets to Hard Hat. These are all programs that they could get, just give them a call. During the COVID, I said, if you can't call them, email them. This is their email address, or go down to their site and check them out. So I have everything in my phone and I just pull it out and take a picture. That's one way that I promote the program, and I just let everybody know that way.
I would say the same. Exactly what's happening now is a great way to get out there what NEW does and about NEW. High schoolers, I have done a few calls with Eric. Eric, who also works with NEW, has invited me to speak with a number of high schoolers from time to time. My union does the same thing. I have been on a couple of calls, a couple of Zoom calls with high schoolers. My union has also, and not just my union, I've been with a group of women, New York Coalition for Women in Construction. They put on an event, it was a couple of years ago, but they put on an event inside a school in the Bronx. And it was and we were all women, but it was firefighters, sheet metal, iron workers. All of us went to the actual high school to talk to them. Helmets to hard hats. I'm sorry, helmets to hard hats is another one. My union also participates in that. So there are a number of, I also have a girlfriend who, she used to work with the library. I have to remember what organization she works with right now, but she works with an organization and her position is putting out information like this, where, you know, for women or men, just jobs, period, putting out information like that. There's a number of ways that people can find out about new. I found out about new passing a bus stop. I literally walked past a bus stop and there was a woman in a hard hat and I wanted to know what that was about and I called. That's how I found out about them.
Yes, I mean, to Esther's point, right? So now I'm the woman in the hard hat and sometimes I see people looking and I'm like, she's curious. So I have to, you know, step out of my comfort zone. I'm like, how you doing? You know, and make that small conversation. Like sometimes a lot of elevator operators, right? Sisters, how long you been this? I go, I just started. And so can you, you know what I mean? So having the conversations, and then I'm thinking about the future, you know, should we, you know, get back on track? We need to be at career days, right? Like as a fact, we need to be at career days because we exist.
Absolutely, absolutely. My experience getting into New, someone from New came down to my after school program when I was in high school. No, I was actually teaching an after school program, but they came down to speak to the students. And I was a program assistant at the after school program. And after hearing what the representative said, I was interested. I was just like, that's a thing. I was working for a boat building company. So after doing that hands-on work with carpentry, having that experience, I was like, this can be an actual career. Like I can do this every day, something that I genuinely love and have a passion for. So absolutely reaching, I think kids when they're at that peak of questioning, like, what should I do for a career? The access to it, you know, is difficult at first, but I think once the information is out there, kids can definitely be interested and wanting to join.
Haji, you're not going to say that you work for a boat building company, like that's not important. You're not just going to throw that in there and keep going.
I'm humble.
Thank you, Esther, for that. Someone asked, what is the range of reactions from your male coworkers and foremen, supervisors, and how do you cope with that?
They're all supportive. Everyone that I've met so far have been very supportive. They train me, they tell me what I need to look out for. Like most of the time now, I want to be in the elevator operator when we're doing garbage days. So, you know, like, okay, you're running the elevator, you need to know about the trucks, you need to know what level the trucks are at, you know, you need to let whoever's on the top floor know what's going on the bottom floor. So I have to be the communicator between, you know, both parties. So all the jobs that I've been on, they've been very supportive. They teach me whatever they know that I need to know to make my job a smoother transition for everybody. Yeah.
I've had a mix.
Coming down to the last question. Please share.
Oh, I was saying I've had mixed. Some men are very supportive, and some men make it their duty to yell at my back, their feelings, but it was at my back, right? And so, you know, I just, when I am actually feeling sensitive or down in myself, I remember that the reason why there's a lock on my bathroom and it's clean is because sisters endured, right? The reason why there's a pregnant woman working alongside me is because women endured, right? And so I can take what was said or what was unpleasant and make it a world, or I can put it under my feet where it belongs, right? If I forget that, get on the phone, right? Again, with community. And just, you know, move forward. It is mental. A lot of it is mental, right? But understanding that when I stick it out, you know, I really do create opportunities for the sisters coming up behind me,
and that's it. That's what keeps me. If I think about it as myself, of course, I may think I can't do this, but when I'm thinking about the collective, you put it where it belongs, under your feet, and you really do keep it moving. And to Ashley's point, my range is wide also. And again, a lot of times I'm the only woman, no matter the trade, on my job site. And my thought is, and again, if you are, depending on your mindset, because you're a human being, depending on your mindset, depends on your reaction. A lot of times I literally have to stop myself because I don't want to be the angry Black woman. 1, 2, I don't want to react in a way that's normal, but then is looked at in a negative way and possibly ruin the chance for another woman to be on this job site. So that's a lot of my thought when, do I go postal or do I go and take a bathroom break? And most of the times I'm going to take a bathroom break because it's not worth it. A lot of that would not only ruin it for me, but again, ruin it for the next woman that comes to the job site, and have them, and again, just being human. Because and some of my thoughts is, if a male responded to the ridiculousness that you just said to me, it would just be normal. But if I respond the same way, it'll be a whole other thing. So Esther, go to the bathroom.
Thank you so much. You all have provided us with so much wonderful information and so much affirmation. So I mean, you all are such smart, strong, powerful women, but you're letting us know that if I can do it, you can do it. And that's such an important message for those coming behind you. Such a great job, panelists. We really thank you for your time and for your all of your thoughts. I'm really, really proud of all of you, and looking forward to many more women entering the trades. So I think it's that time for us to wrap up. I want to thank everybody for being with us. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, audience members, and just really appreciate all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.